And the success of the event or the program depends on the MC. Yes, I agree. But in recent times, the issue of MCing has been one on the table. Yeah, in the just ended VGMAs, a lot of people expressed their dissatisfaction with their hosting. They're not happy at all. Tell it plenty talk. But the question is, what makes a good MC? The command of a language, the ability to tell jokes, dance, sing, the popularity of the hosts, or their looks. Another thing that people also blame on MCs not performing is the event organizers. What happens backstage, preparations and all that. Lateef Abubakar is here and I need to engage him before he leaves us. Lateef, okay, so welcome again to the show.
Thank you.
So most times when events are held and MCs go on stage to perform and things don't go well, some people blame that on the MC. Others who know a bit of events, organization and all that also blame that on the event organizers.
Yeah.
Now, before you even call any MC to come host an event for you, what is the process? What is the preparation?
Okay, so for us, because we run a variety, different type of events, let's say in a year we run about 13 corporate events. Each event each event has the type of MC that we believe is suitable for that particular event. So we don't have one MC running through. We look out for certain things. Of course, obviously, you would look out for the command over the language, which is critical. You look out for that. If it is an event that needs someone who understands the Ghanaian language, you want the person to have command over that Ghanaian language. Whether Dagbani, whether Hausa, whether Ga, you want the person to have command over that language. If it's an event that requires the MC to speak English, you also want the person to have command over the English language. So the command over the language, it's primarily one of the first thing we look out for, depending on which type of event we are putting together. Then we look at how versatile the person is. There are some MCs that are corporate oriented. Straight, I call them the straight MCs. They go straight to the point. There are some MCs that also are versatile. I mean, versatile in terms of they can entertain through dance, through music, comedy, and then also they can be corporate. So again, if I should give you an example, if I'm doing the Ghana International Petroleum Conference, if I'm managing and producing it, I would go for MCs that are a bit corporate, straightforward, and then no much. We don't entertain much jokes and comedy one way or the other. But if I am putting together an event like the Ghana Business Awards, then I want someone who has a bit of flair, because for me, for such an award ceremony, I want an MC who can even perform, who can sing, can chip in something.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, you can dance to a music because we bring live band, we bring musicians. You must flow, you must be flexible, you must be versatile. So those are the kind of MCs you look out for the awards that we do one way or the other. So you look at how versatile the person is, you look at the command over the language, which is critical. Then you look out for the dress code.
Do you give them the dress code? Do you give them the dress
some
code?
we give the dress code. And then others, I mean, we know them, so you know that when this guy is coming, you know he'll be on point. But there are certain events that comes with dress code already. So we say it's a black tie event. We expect you to wear a black suit with white shirt and a bow tie. We give specifications depending on the event. But there's some events you say you give the MC the free will to decide because you trust the person and you've worked with him over and over and over. So you know he will deliver when it comes to dress code. But it's important. The choice of dress for the occasion is critical for the success of the event. You don't want people to sit in the audience to be sitting down and then commenting about the how your MC is dressed. It changes the whole atmosphere of the production. Again, you mentioned the point. You were asking a question.
Yes.
As to who is to be blamed. They might sometimes, if things go wrong,
yes,
it can be the fault of the MC. It can be the fault of the event organizer. Unfortunately, most at times, even if it is the fault of the event organizer, people blame the MC. Unfortunately, because sometimes we mess up things backstage. As event, the flow.
Yeah.
You get to an event and then the event organizer doesn't really has a flow, and now the MC is forced to create a flow for the event organizer, and it happens, and they struggle a lot. Kavite will testify, I'm sure. They struggle a lot as to what next. That's what they come. So if the MC is not experienced, then you have a lot of issues. At least the most experienced MCs know how to
go about it.
Yes, go about it when the event organizers are confused.
What is the ideal situation? Are you not supposed to send them maybe the run or the program lineup?
Yeah.
Maybe ahead of time, days ahead of time, and all that.
Exactly, and then you need to even sit with them or have a meeting with the person.
Yes.
And debrief the person, take him through whatever project you're embarking on, just so maybe he has some contributions to make. Because he will be steering the affairs anyway, so you need to take his input one way or the other and give him some directions too as well as to how he should go. So always meet your MC at least a week before an event. That has been our principle, and it works for us. Always meet your MC. I mean, I would say, all in all, we've produced close to 300 and something shows, and over a period, we've produced close to 300 and something shows, and we've made it a point that, guys, when it comes to the selection of MC, it must be command of the language, it must be the dress code, it must be a choice of how versatile, depending on the event, or how corporate the person can be, depending also on the event, and more importantly, how the person can hold on the show and keep the tempo of the show. Extremely important. Some MCs are just too flat. They are just too flat, and they go raw and make the show boring. So you need people that maybe I mean, there are some few people, and I like your choice of panelists for this particular topic, because these people I
can see our producer.
Oh yeah. Then he did well, because I don't know whether he's done a research, but these are the kind of people. These are the kind of people we respect in the industry. These are the kind of people who can give you a bill and you still have to go with it.
Let me acknowledge some of them on Zoom already. We have Jerry Ajololo, we have Anita Skin, we have Mercury Quay, and Nathaniel Ato. Yes, he'll be joining us in the studio. Yeah, but let me ask you another question. So, do you also consider the popularity of the host or the MC?
Of course, yes. There are some events you consider, because you know what, our audience are sometimes funny. If they get to know it is this MC, whatever goes wrong, they're sometimes comfortable and okay. They don't complain so much. The audience are fine because maybe they are already, the MC is a fan and they want to see this person. So you consider those things very much sometimes in execute. Yeah. It's important. You can't take that away. You understand? It's just that the person must be able to do the work. It's not just because, you see, we've tried some popular people who have messed up programs. So it's not just about the name or being popular. It's about the fact that the person is a professional MC and he's popular. He's popular either by screens or he's popular by the work he does as an MC.
Interesting. Wow. Showbiz A to Z, join 99.7 FM. We're talking about MCing as a craft or an art. Abubakar Latif is an event organizer. And we have in the studio already Kapute, my MC. We have on Zoom Anita Esking, Mercury Quake, Jerry Ajololo. Nathaniel Arthur will be joining us in the studio as well. Now, how do you judge the performance of an MC? Who is a good MC? 055 1111997. All right, so let me come to you, Latif, again. So when the event organizer messes up the MC's work, what do you do for them? What do you do to compensate them? You are destroying their brand.
Yeah, I think that we do little. The best we do sometimes is say I'm sorry. So, and then we mess them up. The best we do is say I'm sorry. We do very little. But fortunately for us, we don't get into such situations. Fortunately for us, we hardly get into such situations. More so because we've been working with our MCs, the people we use over and over and over. So we're able to fill in the gap quickly and fast if certain things are going wrong.
Okay.
But I think that I don't know which event organizer compensates the MC after messing up a show. Mostly the person runs away and say soon I said that. So I mean, it's something that we should also be considering from our part as event organizers, because they also have a brand to protect. So I always say that if you are bringing an MC, make sure you do your part, prepare. Because you see, now what I've realized is that with some events, the MCs automatically become like the event organizer on the day.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Playing a dual role.
Get this done. Hey, son, what is happening? The MC, instead of just focusing on his work, now becomes like the one manning the show, one way or the other. That's what is happening. It means that the event organizer is not doing his job.
Okay. Now let me go to the MCs. Now let me introduce them one by one. So we have this MC. He's based in Accra, Ghana. He's delivered excellence across the world with over 8 years of great and effective output covering over almost 800 corporate, social, religious, and entertainment events like the Commonwealth Judges and Magistrates Banquets at the Jubilee House, EcoBank, ETI Global CEO Send-Off, GIPC Ghana Club 100 Soiree, MTN Yellow Soirees across regions, National Science and Maths Quiz, corporate end-of-year parties for Zenith Bank, Omni Bank, private events for the President, Akufo-Addo and family. Wow. And then for John Mahama and the family, their 30th marriage anniversary, a milestone birthday celebrations for many high-profile personalities. Interesting. Live concerts for Kojo Entry 3 times. Kwabena and Kwame, and many premium weddings, conferences, and parties across Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Kabute Okanse, aka Kabute my MC.
Yes. Mr. Dadzie.
How are you?
I'm so blessed.
I'm so happy to see you.
I'm even more excited.
No, you bring life to events, man.
Thank you.
You are the man.
Thank you. I appreciate
All right.
it. Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Okay, so after this, you talk about that one.
Right.
You see that thing? Let me go on Zoom. Let me introduce this great MC as well. He's a gifted professional master of ceremonies, moderator, and storyteller with an impressive track record of successfully hosting numerous state, diplomatic, corporate, and social events in Ghana since January 2014. He's the managing director of Domotil Africa, moderator for numerous occasions like the World Bank, IMF, World Economic Forum, the African Union, ECOWAS, Afri-Exim Bank, International Trade Center, USAID, Yali, the Mandela, Washington Fellowship, MTN, Vodafone, Newmont, Tallow, Unilever, Nestle, Oracle, Standard Chartered Bank, EcoBank, Zenith Bank, to mention but a few. Additionally, Jerry is highly patronized as a preferred host for many high-level social events for their excellencies, Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo and Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, and Otumfuo Setutu the second, King of Asante. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Jerry Ajololo on Zoom. All right, now let's come.
Hello.
Hello, Jerry.
Kwame Dadzie.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, and belated happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Good to have you.
Good to have you too. Next year by this time, we'll both have hair together.
You want hair? Okay, Jerry, let me also introduce the next guest on Zoom. So, she's highly respected She's an authority on media and communications with over 2 decades of experience in corporate communications, strategic communication management, and television content development and management. She's the CEO of Anita Eskin Media, which includes Boss Lady Productions, Anita Eskin Network, and AEM Films. She has been a charismatic entrepreneur who has empowered communities through her work. Her illustrious career as an event host has led her to preside over more than 200 global events. Wow. Spanning from high-level dialogues with prime ministers, presidents, and monarchs to prestigious award ceremonies and global fundraising events. Showbiz. We have Anita Eskin. All right. Hello, Anita.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I am blessed, highly favored, my brother. And hi to my other brother without hair, Jerry Ajololo. And actually, all my brothers don't have hair. Jerry and Kapite, I don't know what's happening to your hair. I got it.
Joy 99.7.
It is COVID, Russia, Ukraine.
No comments.
Okay, thank you, Anita. Now let me go on Zoom again. So, he's the host of the first ever music show on Joy Prime in Ghana. He's combined his love for music, creativity, a crazy fashion buzz, and his voice, winning many hearts across Ghana. He has done some great interviews with US rap mogul Nas, Keisha White, Wyclef Jean, T-Face, DBR, and a host of others. Now, he has hosted the Nescafe Hot Mark Festival, the Coca-Cola Open Happiness Tour, and Coca-Cola One Hit Competition in 2010 and 2011, respectively. The MTN Music Festival, NFL Draft Day Party, Guinness Bright House Festival, Whiteland Festival, Ghana DJ Awards, State of the Republic Concert, Red Bull Street Style Rave, GH Unite Concert. Turn up, turn up, turn up, turn up, turn up,
turn up, turn up, turn up, turn up, turn up. Yo, Kwame, I tell you what, you are blessed, man.
Thank you,
weekend, and you have the best MCs in Ghana.
I tell you, my brother.
This is big.
Interestingly, about 10 years ago, Mercury was on my show somewhere, for this same topic, man.
Go city. All
right, so guys, we have a big convo this afternoon, and yes, there is one more. No, he's a big man. I mean, he's a big man. So he's an experienced editor with a demonstrated history of working in the broadcast media industry, skilled in event management, journalism, media relations, radio, and television. He's hosted ceremonies like the West African Banking Congress, Ghana Climate Innovation Summit, CIMG Awards, Vodafone Ghana Music Awards, Presidential Commissioning of the Accra East Hospital, opening ceremony of the CAF Women's AFCON, Emmy Africa Awards, ADA, Adansa Photofia Music Festival, which had Shatawale, yes, Year of Return Global Music Festival with Deborah Cox and Rhythms on the Runway, the Junior Graphic Children's Funfair, 75th birthday of the then Right Honorable Michael Quay, while he was the Speaker of Parliament. We have Nathaniel Atto, my brother. Yo. All right, so we have all our people set as of now, and we are talking about MCing today. Yes, MCing as a craft, as an art. That is what we're talking about. Let me start with you, Kapute. Okanse, sorry.
Yes,
Kapute,
sir.
my MC.
Yes, sir.
When we say somebody's an MC, what does it mean? Is there a definite description or maybe a definition for that? Do we have that?
Well, so good afternoon to you and to everybody. Greetings to my brothers and my big sister out there as well. So I don't know if there's a rigid definition or an academic definition of who an MC is, but I believe that the perspective of who an MC is may probably come in different ranges. Number one, it comes from the definition provided by the event organizer or the event producer or the event owner. Let me put it that way. Then there's a definition that will also come from the point of view of the event guests, the one who is receiving or consuming the event. And then, of course, from the perspective of the one delivering the service as well, which is the MC themselves. So if we ask who is an event MC, essentially it comprises one who runs the show, one who ensures order and good flow, one who at a certain point also provides some entertainment value to the event itself. At some point he may be an announcer, at some point he may be, I consider specifically events to be almost like a relay. All right, so when I say a relay, what I mean is the event starts. First of all, the baton is probably given to the event producer or the event owner, who puts together the general idea of the event and then brings all the other vendors together. And then maybe the baton is handed over, let's say, to the venue owner, who prepares the venue. Then it goes to the rentals, they bring in all the other components. It then passes on maybe to the food vendor, to the DJ, etc., etc. And I consider that eventually the baton is then handed over to the MC to run the final leg of the race to cross the finishing line. So the MC is more or less like, the finisher of the services that all the other vendors have put together to be able to deliver that particular event, to make it interesting, to make it memorable, but also to fulfill the key objective for which that particular event has been put together.
Okay, let me go to Anita S. King and ask. Anita, so what are the types of emceeing that we have?
Well, I mean, we have tons of different kind of MCs. I think that if you're talking specifically jurisdictional, as in you're talking about Ghana specifically, you've got wedding MCs. Of course, you read in all our bios: corporate event MC, award ceremony MC, charity gala MC, cultural event MC, sports event MC, game show MC, civic event MCs. Listen, I could go on and on and on and on. Funeral MCs, outdooring MCs, birthday party MCs. But I think that most importantly, even though there's a wide variety of MCs, the bottom line is, just as Kapute, very eloquently explained, the MC is the one who delivers the client's heartbeat. And the client heartbeat is to ensure that everybody sitting in the audience is aptly informed, is fully entertained, if that is what is required, but also that the person that is holding the microphone, who is ultimately the spokesperson of the event, that is the MC, is able to start the event and finish it without any kind of extraordinarily out of control event as much as possible, but bringing it to a very successful finish. That's perhaps what I would say.
Okay, before I ask my next question, listeners, I know a lot of people want to learn from this one. Pick up your pens and papers and write down something, okay? Because this is a masterclass, if you ask me. Anita, so who qualifies to be an MC? What are the qualities, the traits of a good MC, or somebody who can be an MC?
The reality is you have to understand what protocol means. And protocol, I'm not only talking about national protocol or, protocol as far as Mr. President is concerned, but protocol as far as treating people, talking to people, exciting people, assuring people, and bringing people to a very respectful, I would say, calm beginning. Because when you start an event, you as an MC have to be in control of yourself in order to take control of the room. So who qualifies to be an MC is that person who knows that he or she is in control of themselves. They understand the event. They really do like to stand in front of an audience. They really do like to command. And once you are that kind of person, by all means, I'm not sure that it's fair to say who, quote unquote, qualifies for an MC. But I think whomever you may be that you feel that, listen, I know exactly how to conduct myself in front of people enough for them to allow me the control of the room, you can be an MC.
Do you need to have a sense of humor to be a good MC?
Absolutely not. My brother Jerry will back me on this. I do not have a sense of humor. Jerry's the one with the extraordinary sense of humor. He can make the entire room crumble in spasms of mirth. I think that being humorous is overrated if you don't know the joke and how it applies to the people in the room. So the first thing I tell anybody is, please don't try to, quote unquote, entertain. I'm not an entertainer per se. Depending on what's happening in the room and at what time and who's present. I may say one or two things either to break the ice or just to keep things flowing, but you don't have to have a sense of humor. And I want to say this categorically because I believe that a lot of people believe that they need to be able to have 4, 5, 6, 7 jokes on their cards before they start a show. It's the one big, most daunting, most dangerous things to do, especially if you don't naturally have a sense of humor. Leave it to the people who are naturally funny.
I'll come back to you. Let me come to Nathaniel. Nat, so I had this argument with somebody on social media, not somebody, comedian Obi Amponsa. He was like, it's about time the event organizers included the comedians as MCs for their event because they can bring the life to the event. And I told him, MCing is not all about humor. He said, no. So let me ask you as
Kwame, hold it right there. Don't worry, I understand your question.
Do we need them?
I understand your question. Look, I agree 300% with Anita. Anita is someone I've also worked with. I listened to her when I was in school. We've hosted tons of events together, and we've shared the same stage as well, acting as well. Look, it is natural, okay? Humor is natural, and humor can also be learned. So you need to draw the line between that natural trait and what you've learned as well. We've spoken about the various definitions of what MCing should be and who an MC should be. Now, one of the things you should understand is your audience. If you do not have an idea of the demographic of your audience, then you don't have any business being on the microphone. Because I'll give you 2 examples. One of them, and this is one of our very respected colleagues, a very seasoned newscaster. I had the very torrid experience of sitting at a wedding years ago, so over a decade ago, Alabadi Beach Hotel. And this fine broadcaster, who's presumed because of what he does on television to be a good MC, told a joke about cheating at a wedding. First of all, you had a mixed crowd, mixed in terms of the demographics. So you had, elderly people, you had a fine mix of young people as well. And first of all, the joke took a long time to deliver. His delivery was not properly, strung together. So you couldn't get the, and then he lands on cheating at a wedding. And so there was one thing Anita's, mentioned about, understanding the genre of events that you're hosting as well. These things are very key and are very crucial. So for humor, you need to have a firm grip of it. Now, the bit about how, comedians should also be given the opportunity to host events. Let me beg to differ. I mean, Obi is one person I've introduced on stage quite a number of times. He's a wonderful gentleman, a fine performer, and a natural as well. But you see, it depends on the demand or what the event organizer or the originator of the event is looking for. If the originator of the event says we're having a 40th birthday party and today we just want to let our heads down, we don't have a dress code, we're just coming in there, give us good music on the bandstand, play some very good music on the DJ's console or the turntable as well, and let's laugh. Then you can have a comedian who is good at steering events from the start to the finish. Because you see, being a comedian alone is not enough to make you a qualified person to MC. Let me give you the second example. I remember very well that I had a very unfortunate experience, and this time, because it's negative, I wouldn't want to mention a name. I attended an award ceremony and had to present at least 2 awards, at the Marriott at airport. This was just under 2 years ago. And a comedian, we all do know him, fantastic guy on the mic when he wants to make your ribs crack. But then a nominee was mentioned, and the nominee won. And in the bios, while the nominee video was playing, one thing that was said, or one thing that she said in a short video, was that she lost her father, and her father is the inspiration behind getting her to do what she's doing well, based on which she's been awarded. Guess what this guy, this comedian stroke MC on the night, said? Passed a joke about the man who had passed on. I mean, this is a point of emotion. I mean, this is a point of pain for the person who had won the award. And this guy passed a very, very irresponsible comment. I sat in my seat and I was cringing. I said to myself, goodness. So you see, it shouldn't be cast in stone. There are standards. And once you have a definition of what you're looking for, you go out there into the market and you look for those who are primed for it or those who are well adapted for it.
Thank you, Nathaniel Arto. Let me go to Jerry. Okay, Kabute.
Yes, so if you may, let me just, I think that sometimes it's very easy to focus and make the conversation about should you be funny or have, be a comedic person in an event. I think we should broaden it. You can ask a much broader question and get a more useful feedback, which is what level of engagement is required for the specific event that you are hosting. Okay, so definitely there is value in having the gift of comedy for a particular type of event.
Okay.
And even for that, it may not necessarily be for the entire event. It would have sections and modes within the event that would be an asset. So I always say that a good MC would harness on whatever their personal gifts are, in terms of talent, which would then add value to the event. But in terms of engagement, comedy is just one small aspect of it. There is engagement by wit, there's engagement for attention, there's engagement even by speech, by command, by presence. So it's not necessarily that you have to be a humorous person. I tell people I can be witty, I can be humorous, I can generate humor, but I am not a comedian. So if you want a comedian for your event, then I may not necessarily be the best person. And you see, if a comedian wants to be an MC, there's nothing wrong with that. But the comedian needs to understand that there are so many other elements that they would have to build up to add to their comedy to provide a full functionality for the particular event.
Thank you, Kabute. Let me go to Jerry and ask his opinion on the traits of a good MC. Jerry?
Traits of a good MC. Well, let me just backtrack a little bit. You asked who can be an MC. Number one, anybody, but not everybody. There are different events, there are different platforms which require different personalities, different traits. And so anybody at all can be an MC, but not everybody. When it comes to traits, when I started out, I was still working in corporate life. I've never had the privilege of media, radio, TV. So it's just a natural disposition. I go out there and while I'm hosting an event, somebody calls me on the side and says, what do you do? I say, I'm in insurance. I say, yeah, it's true. I can smell that thing around you. You have that corporate vibe. So it was easy for people to tell that this was my natural inkling. So it wasn't, out of place when the corporate environment started noticing me. I would do social all right, but they saw that, I had this vibe of the corporate environment. When I come, I know the right things to say, the right people to put on the spot. And so it was easy for me to go that route. There are people who also started like me, and they were generalists. What has affected most of them in finding their niche per se is the fact that they haven't taken time to really hone those skills. For me, because of my corporate background, naturally, I've honed those skills and still I keep honing those skills. It has also opened other avenues like the diplomatic state and all that. When it comes to traits, you can't change certain things about you. I'm a suit and tie person. It's today that the grace of God has fallen upon me that I'm wearing kaftan and I said I'll come and surprise you all. But you know that when you invite Jerry for an event, by all means, he'll be in a suit and a tie. You know that this is the way he'll project. So back to what Latif said. They make it a tradition that they don't have the same MCs every time. Why is that so? Because of our traits. Look, Nat is Nat. you can put Nat behind a veil. His voice is the same. His delivery it will never change. We are unlike decorators, photographers, and the other people who can be used repeatedly because we don't see their face, we don't see their personal traits, but we see their services, which can be varied. So, back to your question again, what are the traits that make for a good MC? Number one, it depends on the platform. If it's a corporate environment, the person must be orderly, the person must be knowledgeable, the person must understand the environment that they are going to. So you can't bring a comedian to a very corporate environment. We're doing Ghana Bankers Conference, and you bring a comedian. Number one, does he understand anything about that industry? I doubt. Number two, can he show mastery? In terms of even language, the jargons, the lexicons, and then his personal traits as a person, do they fit into that environment? So that is one part. When you go to the social side of things, well, people go to social events, number one, to just, let their head down and just have a good time, as opposed to very corporate environments. So in those spaces too, you need somebody who is spontaneous, somebody who has a good sense of humor, somebody who is also orderly and has a good sense of emotional intelligence, can read the room and say that, okay, this is required at this time. So in a nutshell, I would say traits do matter, but they are best harnessed or they are best utilized when the right environment is in place.
Okay. Thank you, Jerry Ajololo, the Joy 99.7 FM Showbiz A to Z. This afternoon, we are exploring the arts and crafts of MCing, and I have Kabute, my MC. I have Nathaniel Atto, Anita Eskin, Jerry Ajololo. We also have Mekwi. Let me go to Mekwi now. Mekwi, so you are more into the hype man type of MCing. I know you do other types of MCing, but we know you for the hype man type of MCing. What is required of anybody who wants to get into that field?
What is required? One is energy. You need to have great energy. That's one. Secondly, you need to understand the audience you are going to interface with. I have always said that MCing is a science. Because this is something that you do and you need to get to understand people, you need to watch people, you need to be able to transform the emotions of people. If the people that you are interfacing with are not in a good mood, it is your duty to bring them, to life. So the requirement, as it were, would be that ability, or that knowledge to be able to get this done. I have said, that if all you are given is a hammer, everything that you see is a nail. And in my field, as you can see from the events that we do, it is most of the time to get people hyped up, to get people excited. So if you get on the stage and you don't have the niche to get people to respond, to the great music, to get people to get in that mood, then there is a problem. I want to backtrack a bit, to talk about what Obi and Ponsa said and the responses that have come from my senior men, on this platform. I want to believe that he is misunderstood, or probably the question, what he put across has been put in the wrong context. I believe that a comedian can do the kind of job that I do if they know, the right things to do to bring a space to life. I have worked with Kabute, my MC, in, a space. It was a wedding, event, and he was more like a hype man, and because he understood, the audience and what they wanted, he did a great job. So I want to say that a comedian can be a great MC and can host event, depending, just like Nat said, the nature of event and what is required. If it is an event that requires excitement, it requires people to get into a great mood or good mood, and he's got the right buttons to touch to make sure that the people get into that mode or mood, then the comedian qualifies to be in such a space. So back to my space, as I said, it is all about getting people excited, getting them to throw their hands in the air, getting them to respond. And it is also about activating brands, that engage us. So for myself, I have worked with great brands like MTN, like Guinness. I'm in a contract with Guinness, traveling across the country to do the Guinness Bride House. What do they expect? They want to engage audiences. They want to interface and get their products to audiences. And they don't want to see these people in a bad mood, because when that happens, you're not able to transform or transcend the message that you have to these audiences. You're able to put them in a good mood, and based on that, sell the products that they ask you to sell to them. So these are qualities that a good hype man stroke MC must have.
Do you need to know how to sing or rap or dance?
It is a plus, but it's not a must. I don't know how to sing all the songs. I know there are a couple of people who ply the trade who can sing all the songs. I don't know all the songs, but I have a way that I can trigger my audience to sing the song, to make them even have a feeling that I'm singing along with them. It's a craft, it's an art. And its mastery would put you in a great position to be able to interface with them and make them feel great. I'm sometimes on the stage just holding the microphone, and you watch me and it looks like I'm just doing that, but it is based on experience. It's based on the knowledge that I have, to be able to do this. So I'm just standing on the stage and I'm holding the microphone, and sometimes I can go like I can put my hand at a point and tell the audience that I want them to scream according to the level my hand goes. And I just do that, and you can see them screaming to that level. It's like magic, but it is because of the mastery of this art.
Okay, let me ask Anita. I want to know her style of emceeing as well. Anita, which one is your style?
I'm versatile. I choose to believe that I'm versatile. And after you've done what I do for a very long time, you start to understand exactly what to give, different kind of audiences. I love the corporate space because sometimes it's really just straightforward. They require that delivery to be smooth, easy. They're not asking you to overperform. They're asking you to be precise, concise. They're asking you to be specific. I love award ceremonies because it's always a mix of the serious work and a little bit of, entertainment. And it's always very glamorous, depending on what kind of award it is. I'm very celebratory as well. I love inspirational events, working with not-for-profit organizations. I love events where the focus is entrepreneurs, because then I get to talk about my passion for entrepreneurship. Definitely spot on women's events, specifically because it is a space where I flourish and it's a space where I'm passionate about. So if you've heard what I'm talking about, I am aligning my personality, and I can't remember which one of my brothers mentioned it. I'm aligning my personality traits, my genuine interests, the spaces where I can speak with authenticity, the spaces where when I'm required to research, it doesn't feel like a task, but it feels very, very passionate. I align that with the kinds of events that I agree to take on board. And by the way, the MC has a right to say, I will recommend somebody for this, because you will be given an opportunity. There's so many times when, I am asked to MC a wedding. And the first thing I say is, you know what? The kind of energy, the kind of buzz, the kind of electronic positivity you need will come from my brother Kabute, the MC, because he really knows how to make the bride and groom feel like this is the best day of our lives. I may make them feel like, hey, aware, so, I'm very genuine and honest with what I know my capabilities, how far they take me. And it's really okay to say to a client, you know what? I don't think I'll give you exactly what you're looking for. I believe Lateef mentioned, you may have asked Lateef the question about popularity. Sometimes you are requested because of your popularity, but as a professional MC, you must know that this particular space, this jurisdiction, is not mine to touch because it belongs to a colleague of mine who will be better suited. So I hope I've answered your question in that regard.
Yes. Kabute, have you gotten such recommendations from people, other MCs?
We are one of the biggest in terms of referring events to colleagues within the industry as well, based on our very specific and unique giftings and how we express and deliver on the microphone. So yes, definitely that's something that I do very significantly, and I align 100% with what Anita is expressing out there, because you see, there is literally a very fine, almost invisible line between the personality of the MC and his or her delivery as an MC. And so that is what creates the uniqueness. That is what makes 100 MCs be in a category of their own. You understand? You may have 3 corporate MCs, but when they step onto the corporate stage to host the same event, there will be slight variations in the look and feel of it. And remember that to a large extent, beyond the tangibles of delivering an event is largely evaluated based on sentiments and feelings of the guests, of the hosts, and of the MC who's delivering. And that sentiments and feelings are as varied, as the individuals involved. So for me, I say that my brand is mature, is classy, is fun. That's how I define my brand. So if Kabute is coming to host an event for you, I am blessed to be able to have quite a wide spectrum. So I have executed events, over the last 12 years. I've executed events across the entire spectrum. But people will tell you that I am known and identified more on the lighter end, if you like. So I love things like corporate parties, corporate celebrations, corporate awards. I mean, these are platforms that I love because it aligns with my mature, fun, classy orientation. I'm known to do a lot of, high profile or significant social events, weddings, birthdays, etc. But again, in that environment, you will still see a reflection of mature, class, and funny and fun. It's interesting that Anita mentioned referral, because just yesterday I got a call to host an event.
Okay.
I was given the date and I was told that it's a 25th birthday event. So my first response to the individual was that, you know what, I don't mind. I can't host it, but I honestly would love to recommend somebody else for you. Because I feel that for the audience base for a 25-year-old, you might need somebody who can offer something more than what I would do. And the
somebody
person,
younger?
Younger, but also a bit more relatable to the audience pool. Do you understand what I mean? And then the response of the person who reached out to me, the planner, was that yes, it's a 25-year-old, but it is being celebrated more by the parents of the individual. And so a few of her friends, about 10 or 15 of her friends, will be there, but it will be largely a pool of people around their parents who will be there to celebrate her. So in that circumstance, obviously the event, even though it is still a 25-year-old birthday party, the image and the look and the feel of the event has significantly changed based on that input.
Yeah.
So on account of that, I know that my brand, description as mature, classy, and fun will add value to that particular event, and then we'll be able to execute it.
Charlie,
you be big man. Charlie, Jerry, Charlie, you for come greet the man. You be big man. You be big man. You know, B-E-E-E.
Tell us, make it check in WhatsApp. I send them.
Yeah, bro.
Nat, let me come to you. We want to know your style.
Okay, so I'm grateful for one thing. I'm grateful for my multifaceted appeal. I'm grateful for being a true definition of versatility. Why do I say that? Everybody looks at me and they say, "Oh, this guy, you're a sports journalist, and we seem to have a bit of a difference when it comes to your public appeal because you're not your regular or your everyday sports journalist." I remember years ago when I hosted the opening and the launch of UT Bank years ago. Mr. Charles Mensah, who was one of the board members and eventually became MD of Casapreco, took my card and said, "You're a sports journalist?" I said, "Yes." And this was after we had done everything. This was post the event. And that was where I got to further appreciate, the appeal and what I give off. So gladly, I'm able to handle everything across board. So I'm talking, and of course, it's out there. Let me begin from where Kabute ended. I remember very well that I think about 6 years ago, I hosted a party for 16-year-olds. When I got the phone call, I had those questions, but they were up there in my mind. But that task giver in me got me to say, "Yo, you know something? Let's get this done and let's make sure that the kids have fun." I placed a video on it of it on Instagram, and it was amazing. Anytime I go back to it, I'm just amazed about what we're able to put up. So I'm a fine mix of what you see in corporate Ghana, you see in the arts and entertainment industry, you see in traditional events, and you also see in stratified events. And when I'm saying stratified events, I'm talking demographics of younger people, because look, I remember when you were reading, you talked about the junior graphic children's fun fair. And, sometimes you ask yourself, okay, so why wouldn't you just sit back and relax and just, let it go? But I'm saying we're all made differently. There are those who like to focus on specifics because of their disposition and because of the kind of branding that they want. I'm multifaceted, and I have functioned effectively in those spaces day in, day out. So like I said, you'd see me with the president, today. Tomorrow, you can see me at an awards event. The next minute, you can see me on a musical stage hosting a music festival with 30, 40,000 people, where energy is required to be at an all-time high, I remember very well, you mentioned the Shatawale concert. Yeah. Well, interesting thing about that concert is that the main sponsor of the concert normally uses me on an event which can be classified as corporate and youth and social development, as well as, most corporate events. Now, that day he sat back, in the VIP section and was just watching me deliver. And he said, "You've been my friend as well for 15, 17 years, but I've never seen you like this before." Wrapping all of this up, all I'm just saying is that in this space of events hosting, one of the key things that you need to realize and identify is your kind of person, the kind of skin you're made for or made of. And once you're able to do a proper assessment of all of that, you're able to work within the spaces, and you're able to deliver, and you're also able to adequately satisfy every single audience you're placed before. Because for me, the satisfaction of the audience, just like Kabute mentioned earlier, the satisfaction of the audience and the crave for an event that has you handling the microphone is king for me. It's my platinum mine. And so for me, it's the ability to adapt, the ability to behave like the chameleon, not in a negative way, but behave like the chameleon in 100% efficient manner.
Wow.
Please note the stratified.
Yes.
Note the stratified. Is it underlined or is capital S?
With red ink.
With red ink underlined. Please, we've noted it in the diary. Stratified.
Joy 99.7. Showbiz A to Z, and we're talking about MCing, exploring the art and craft of MCing. What makes a good MC? Send us a text or a message right now on 05511119997. We have Kabute, my MC, Nathaniel Atto, we have Anita Eskin, Mekri Kwe, and then Jerry Ajololo. Let me go to Jerry now. Jerry, so you mentioned that you do a lot of corporate MC. Now, apart from that, you also tap into other areas.
Yeah, sure. So I do a lot of state events. I do a lot of diplomatic, quite a number of social events. But you see, let me take you a little back to the question you posed to my other colleagues. What's my style of MCing? My style of MCing is summed up in those words above my head. Or that word above my head. Do more, talk less. So gradually doing this for 8 years plus, everybody who I've encountered just tells me one thing, that guy, we like the way you go about the event. No long talk, straight to the point. And you see, my strength is in ideation. So a lot of stuff, I feel MCs should not even be on stage to do that. I orchestrate a lot of things backstage and they work. So that has become my trademark. If you need somebody who can do an event for you in 10 minutes, Jerry is your guy. If you need I don't like long events. People know that I don't like an event which just drags. No, that's not me. If you want somebody who is very elaborate in terms of language, no, that's not me. There are people who are, they can embellish. That's not me. I'm straight to the point, I'm direct. At the same time, I can add context to the issue. Though it's brief, but I can add relevant context to it. But largely, I like very orderly, sober events. That's why funerals kind of like take a chunk of what I do also lately. I like a good funeral, especially when the person is old and ripe and,
What is a good funeral, though? What is a good funeral?
A good funeral is one which is well organized. The person has passed on at a very good old age, and there are lots of lessons to be learned by the organization. Recently, I did Professor Yensu's funeral. And guess what? I didn't even post about I just did me walking and then a little bit of the setup. Everybody who called me, guess what they said? They said that, listen, we were not at the funeral, but this is exactly how Professor Yensu's funeral should have been done. I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to show anything of people. I just showed chairs and me walking to a banner and bowing. And people saw it, and those who knew the man. And so you see, funerals reveal a lot about a person, how he lived his life, the impact, the legacy. And you get to hear the bittersweet, you get to hear. So for me, it's a moment of learning. That's why I enjoy that, experience very much. So largely, for me, my style of emceeing is do more, talk less.
Okay, so how have you honed this craft or skill over the years?
Feedback has been key to my success. I record myself at every event. I record first an audio and then there's the video. For video, I really don't rely on it much, but for the audio, once I finish the event, I start playing the event. I hear the things that I said that I shouldn't have said, the things that I said that I should have said better, and the things that I should have said that I didn't say at all. So before I ask somebody for feedback, I've already judged myself. So the feedback I get from somebody is a confirmation of what I've already judged myself, with or about, So that's one thing that has helped me. Another thing that has helped me too is continuous learning, which really dovetails from feedback. When you receive a lot of feedback, it imposes a burden on you to learn and be better. So I invest a lot in magazines, a lot in, literature that really builds me up. So when I'm going to an event, certainly I'm very informed. But the beautiful thing about my job is this. You talk to 3 people at the same time while on stage. You talk to people who know more than you. You talk to people who know as much as you. And you talk to people who know very little. How do you talk to all 3 at the same time? You have to just keep it relevant. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in. You need to watch and know what to say at this time, what not to say at this time. If somebody has made a point already, and in my line of job, when you hear somebody say, as the MC said, it's not because you're articulate, or it just means you are talking too much. And so those have been the little things I've used to guide my success along the way.
And how many years have you been doing this job, MC?
Oh, this is my 8th year full time since I left corporate life in 2015, and it's 9 years cumulatively. January 2014 will be 9 years.
Wow. Let me go to Mercury. Mercury. So we're talking about how to hone the craft of emceeing. How do you do yours?
It's through a lot of research and also through observing, other people who, apply my trade. You learn, based on, what other people do in other jurisdictions. So if you ask, I mean, if this answers, it is through learning, it is through research, it is through observation.
Okay. So as simple as that.
As simple as that.
Okay. Let me come to Kabute. How do you sharpen the skill, the art of the job?
So I think it's important to appreciate that there are probably two broad segments of the job as an MC. I say that there is the art of MCing and then there's the science of MCing.
Okay.
So the science of the MCing, in my mind, speaks more to, the tangibles, how to hold a microphone, your voice, your delivery, your diction, etc. And then there's the art of MCing, which comes with, your creativity, your spontaneity, your appreciation of what happens in and around you. But I think that for me, one of the things I've invested in the most is to get for myself and acquire for myself as thorough a briefing as possible, and to be able to also sit down and enjoy a good debriefing after the event. So definitely, like Jerry mentioned, feedback is a big, element is big currency for our craft as MCs. But for me, one of the things that I've been very intentional about, in fact, to be very honest, there have been a few, not many, but very few events that I had to cancel and not execute because the producer was not availing themselves to give me a briefing. And so I just will not be able to host an event if I am not given a briefing about the event. And it doesn't matter if it is a corporate event, if it is a church harvest, if it is a birthday or a wedding or whatever it is. I think that having a thorough briefing, because you see, whenever you stand as an MC, you literally embody the essence of the event owner or host, of the event producer, and of course you are reflecting and trying to meet the expectations of the event guests whilst you deliver as a professional. That means that if it is a corporate event, you literally are assuming the values, the image, and the personality of that corporate entity. That means that if it is on a 70th birthday party that you are hosting, I may not be close to 70, but I need to be able to embody the character, the essence of that particular, not just a 70-year-old, but of that particular 70-year-old, and be able to connect with the guests who have showed up for that specific event. And so, when it comes to sometimes when people say that as MCs that, you're just coming to talk. And I tell people that the moment, not just with MCing. Exactly. Not just with MCing, but for every skill, every value, every service-oriented, delivery, one of the things that tells you how deep the preparation was is how easy the person makes it look. Do you understand? When you see somebody delivering and you think, this person has made it look so easy, that exact sentiment should tell you how deeply the person has had to dig into preparing for that specific event. And so for me, that is one aspect that I invest a lot of attention into. And then I observe human nature. Because you see, no two events, no two guests are the same. No two guests are the same. No two weddings are the same. No two corporate parties or lunches or whatever are the same. And so I invest myself in being attentive to appreciate human nature and to be able to pick up the things that helps me to allow the guests to give me their emotions so I can carry it through from the beginning of the event to the end And then afterwards, I can give it back to them and they can go back home with a great feeling of satisfaction and having achieved the reason why they showed up for the particular event.
Wow. Kabute, Nat, you are one of the finest MCs we have in this country. I'm not
Thank you.
sure when you started you were as fine as they are.
Well,
You've gone through the mill. You've learned.
Well, yes. Time adds value, and experience always is something we cannot, we cannot value. I do a lot of simulation. Before I started this, back in the time when I was in primary school, I used to do a lot of simulation when I was in Rich Church School. So I'd stand in front of the mirror, go get my father's suit, my late father's suit, God bless his soul. My father's passing is 20 years this year in June. I mention him because he was part of the story. We could come to that later on. But I do a lot of simulation. So he used to wear spectacles. So I'd go and get one of his spectacles with a lot of, heavy lens, stand in front of the mirror. Sometimes my eyes would be tearing, but I'd want to have that look, that suited look. So when people ask me, how many suits do you have in your closet, Kabute, don't ask me. I always throw back to those days and I look at what I used to see.
They will do discount sales on Nathaniel's wardrobe.
Charlie, I beg you. I'd get an oversized suit, picture myself addressing an audience of about 3,000 to 5,000 people, and put myself in that space. Try to imagine the stimulus around, the energy around, my voice, the level of my voice, my diction, my command, and the accentuation of my sexuality. Meaning I am very aware of myself, I'm confident, and I'm knowledgeable about the subject area, okay? Or the subject area that guards the genre of this event. So simulation plays a very big role for me. Also, in terms of review, I'm very big on event by event feedback, okay? Just like Kabute said, no two events are the same, okay? So there's a possibility that you could attend, two weddings back to back, or you could attend two launches back to back. And I could give you a good example. I remember years ago, in a day, I hosted corporate launches for a bank. I hosted the opening of branches of a bank. One of them in Kaswa, one of them in Medina. Beg your pardon. And clearly, you had these banks were situated in commercial areas for very strategic reasons. And so you needed an element, every single element that made the society's big picture.
Okay.
So in that area of Kaswa, for instance, you needed traditional authority, you needed the religious bodies, you needed representatives from the schools, you needed people from the commercial areas as well to be there. And then you also needed staff of the bank. And then you move away to Medina, where you also have a similar situation. There probably could be the situation that there is a predominant language. There are terms that are used by the people in the locality based on which you can draw a certain relationship with them, or you can draw a certain familiarity with them. You understand me? So I do this on an event by event basis. For me, what is key are not the moments where people are clapping for me and people walk up to me and say, oh, you are such a wonderful MC. You're an excellent MC. No. It's the moments of what I missed and the moments of what I probably did not coordinate well. I always say something. The backstage is a total deviation from what you see on the front of the stage.
Yeah.
And this cuts across every other event. Look, maybe in my advanced years, and I'm talking maybe in my 60s and 70s, God, I pray God gives me the strength and the life.
Amen.
We'll reveal all of these things. And it's not to paint anybody black or to, downplay anybody's hard work, but it can get very, very chaotic. I've been on international productions, I've been on local productions, and this thing cuts across board. I'll give you one quick example. I had to work with Fox Africa on an event, and the production houses that work, outside of this jurisdiction are very heavy on scripting. I'm not a scripted person. By my making and by my make, or by my personality or the way I made, I'm able to latch onto ideas very easily. That's the reason why I can get a 5-minute briefing and get on the stage. I can also get emergency situations and walk straight to the microphone. Wow. Okay, I'm saying this is the way I made, and I'm grateful for it. So then we're getting ourselves ready for this, and as usual, very, very professional environment. People fly in a week and a half to the event. We have 1, 2, 3 briefing meetings and all of that. Can you believe that 24 hours to the event, this producer, okay? Look, this is a producer who's worked 30 years, 35 years in the industry, handled big productions in the US, Canada, South America and all of that. And this man is telling me, Nathaniel, I read your profile before we met, and I'm very, very convinced that irrespective of any challenge we're going to have here, you will be the master of this event and you can deliver for us. So please get on the stage and deliver for us. Guess what? I got on the stage and I did justice to it.
Fantastic.
It is because, first of all, I had already pictured everything in my mind. So someone would read, someone would memorize, someone would also read a few lines and just assimilate and add their own words. Everybody has a different way of doing it. But I'd already pictured the situation. This was the launch of a West African, tournament. It was a sports tournament, a West African tournament. And you had many people traveling in. And it was a global event because it was globally televised, okay, by Fox.
Okay.
And so you didn't want anything to go wrong. But guess what? At the backstage, you are waiting for this feed to come in. And even the most advanced, the people who are most advanced with technology, face these situations sometimes. So, back to the point about taking event by event feedback. It is very, very important for me. And so I'd rather like to focus on the places where I could have done better than where it went well. Because where it went well is a given because of my experience, my levels of quality, and my pedigree in this industry. You understand me? But at the end of the day, what is important is that every other time when you step on a stage, you have to make it different and not make anybody tired or weary of your voice. In wrapping this point up, Kwame, there are some individuals in our society who always challenge me when I'm getting to the microphone. One of them is His Excellency the President of Ghana.
Wow.
Because he has been part of my audience so many times. I'm sure, it's just like we're sipping juice now. We know how it tastes. So yeah, big deal. What's the big deal? But you see, every other time when you step on the stage and you pick the microphone, there has to be something different about you. There has to be something new about you. There has to be something more refreshing about you. Let me quickly pick one more person. By default, one person, because of where we find ourselves within the demographic description, keep meeting over and over again, and he's a godfather figure as well. Mr. Reginald Lai, we call him Mr. Geddy Lai. He's a past, president of the Advertising Association of Ghana, AAG. Now, this man has seen me so many times, and in fact, he's part of my story. And he's one of the people who saw me, had never seen me MC an event, but was prepared to give me an opportunity on a very big stage, which was the Advertising Awards.
Wow.
Yes, this was many years ago. You understand me? So every time when you are going up to serve an audience that has the likes of him, you know that you have to be, at your eloquent best. You have to be at your witty best. And your confidence also has to be at an all-time high. Confidence is never a problem in this scheme of things. But every other day, you need a certain special dose of it as well as you move along. I know that it doesn't sound very correct, or it sounds a little strange if I have to talk about confidence because it's not my problem. It's never a problem for me. But I would like to describe it as something special that probably may not have a proper definition in the dictionary. Okay, so for me, day by day, you're giving yourself personal feedback. You are looking at the negative ends and looking at cleaning them up. And of course, one of the other things that also give me fuel is when I go through pictures of 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, or 2 days ago, which capture the success story of an event that I've handled. It gives me so much joy, and it gives me extra fuel to want to push and make sure that the next audience I serve are adequately served and are adequately driven from the start to the finish of an event.
Thank you, Nathaniel Atto, the broadcaster, event host, still here. Showbiz A to Z on Joy 99.7 FM. This evening, we're talking about MCing. We're exploring the art and craft of MCing, and we have Nathaniel, we have Kabute, my MC, we have Jerry Ajololo, Mekwikwe, and then Anita Eskin. You can send in your message right now, 055-11-11-997. Let me go to Anita Eskin now. Anita, so Nat talked about some of the challenges that he has faced backstage doing his work as an MC. Do you have any story like that to share with us?
Well, we wouldn't have enough time for all the stories, but I think Nat has done an extraordinary job of kind of highlighting what majority or all of us have seen to some extent or some degree. I have emceed an international live broadcast show from the United States of America. We've had a 4-day rehearsal. We're ready to go. Everything is great. I have received my countdown from my floor manager, and then suddenly the teleprompter that has all the scripts suddenly goes off, literally 5 seconds before we go live on air. But Nat said something, and I completely subscribe to it. As an MC, you have to understand why you have been given that spotlight. Why are you on that stage? Why have you been given the microphone? It's because whether you go away to study the content, whether you've gone away to research the client, whatever it is, you know, and you take responsibility for embodying what the client is seeing, they're hearing, they're breathing. So even if the teleprompter goes off, you can start the show. You know, the thing about being a prepared MC is, even if you go backstage and everything is chaotic, because chaos can happen even to the most extraordinarily organized events. Something can happen, knock on wood, an emergency, can suddenly show up or whatever it is. But an MC that understands why they've been called upon understands that they are responsible for keeping the room at the ultimate calm. Whatever it is that is happening backstage has nothing to do with whatever you're about to deliver on stage. And so with all due respect, that is why sometimes I ask the client, are you looking for an MC, a moderator, or are you looking for Anita Erskine? Because that's the difference. The difference is, like myself, like my brother Jerry, like my brother Nathaniel, Mercury, like Kabute, you are hiring an embodiment of an individual. We are edifices. It's an edifice that you're about to place either at the front of the audience or in the midst of your audience. And the responsibility is that we are the ones that people are going to be paying attention to. So while all the chaos and everything is happening and people, somebody has lost their cards, they can't find the first person who's going to come and give a speech, all of that. You are hiring these professionals because you know that no matter what, the show will go on. And I also want to say, to people who are listening, who want to pursue a career or who love to MC or who want to be an MC, don't let what we, are talking about today deter you, because it sounds like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of work and everything. Don't forget, please, disclaimer, a lot of us have had experience of a decade and more. And every single time you fail, you become better. So I'm glad that Nathaniel mentioned, let's not talk about the successes, because when you host an extraordinary, you've done the show, you've killed it. Yeah. But what you really need to find out is, where did I slip? Where did I falter? Because when I've had the privilege, by God's grace, of coming back, I have the responsibility of fixing what it is that I faltered. And then MCs, we also get very nervous sometimes, depending on what's going on. We also get anxious. So you find that even with all our years of experience, we might say something that the tongue moved faster than the brain. And in that minute, you know that, oh, I shouldn't have said that. You know, it happens to all of us. Or, you know, you say it, you think it's funny. Maybe the people in front of the audience are laughing, but the people behind aren't laughing because clearly you've slipped on something. So you're like, oh, Charlie, I should have said this better. Or even, typical example, the person that you're about to introduce, you practice their name. It's a foreign name. You practiced it, you practiced it, you practiced it. In that moment, call it nerves, call it the spotlight that's too bright in your eyes, call it, you know, somebody giving you a sign that they shouldn't be giving you at that particular point because you're about to start. You mispronounce their name, and deep down, you know that that is not the way to go. So these things happen. These things happen. Expect the unexpected. And so for every event, what I don't prepare for is the obvious. I don't prepare for, you know, this has been given to me. So no, I prepare for what is not obvious, which is sometimes what even the event planner themselves might overlook.
Thank you, Anita. Let me go to Jerry now. Jerry.
Yep, sir.
How do you deal with a situation like you are on stage performing, there is some challenge backstage and all that? How do you deal with such situations?
Well, the first inspiration actually came from Nat. I met Nat in 2008. This was a beautiful event which had been put together, State House, Banquet Hall, nice setup, everything. The first Ghana Insurance Award. Nat is not an insurance person. Nat came in, I believe, with all his research and everything on point. Then, in the course of the event, somebody comes to make a remark, I think the head of the committee or so, and says that in this year's award, this premier one, we're not going to award for claims and we're not going to award for, I think, reinsurance or something. And we who are insurance know that without claims, if you're not giving an award for claims, then forget the award entirely. It's useless. So we were sitting down and said, this thing's not going to work out well. And true, they started the awards, and I think the third award was the best life insurance company, and they mentioned a general insurance company as the winner. That was the beginning of all the wahala. But you see, I learned something from Nat that day. I didn't know him then. But Nat was still professional about it. Oh, we're sorry about that. We'll rectify this and that. The next award, this and that. And there were about 3 blunders. Trust me, this is how the night ended. People walked out. But Nat still held it down. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you. It's the first of its kind. Issues happen, but we assure you that the next time we will do our... And then that's it. So learning from that example, I saw quite early that it really is not why things happen that really matter. It is what you do when these things happen that really counts. And so for me, going through, 2018, 2008, I wasn't an MC by then. I started MCing somewhere around 2014. But with that example, whenever I go into an environment, I say, look, no matter how bad it gets, it is not life, it is not death. Keep your cool, present in a very formal way, try and close on a high, no matter how things went. So for me, my style of presentation, I make sure that my intro is as simple, less dramatic as possible. Along the line, I'll gather steam, I'll gather momentum, I'll pick from the various energies of people in the room. But my closing is something that I don't play with. So in answering your question again, my style has just been to weather the storm. No matter how things go, just weather it. Be the professional they brought you in to be.
Jerry, let me get to Nats. He has something to add to what you said earlier on.
Interesting, memory. Yeah? So I'm throwing back to that day at the banquet hall. Charlie, Jerry. So, like he said, this was the maiden edition of the Ghana Insurance Awards. And trust me, until the point where the then CEO of the National Maritime Authority, he came in to announce the winner. Now, the award was for the Marine Insurer of the Year, Maritime Insurer of the Year, and the award was given to a firm or a company that did not provide that service. So at that point, everyone, and you know what? I saw it coming. I mean, I went on the stage, and this was just about 15 minutes before everything, went haywire. I went on the stage, and my uncle and godfather, Mr. Peter Osaidria, who used to be at the time the CEO of SIC, he and his wife were there in the audience. And so when the first blunder happened, they left the hall. So when they stood and started walking out, I knew that something was going wrong. And of course, the story of what happened backstage is one we'd have to address on a different day. But what is important here is, like we've all said, things will happen because you see, because events are elements of human production, you will expect that things can go wrong. Technology was made by humans. And so on the day when you think technology can be 100% or 120% efficient, something can go wrong. Let me just quickly add this other experience. I was just whispering it to Kabute. Rhythms on the Runway is now our biggest Pan-African stage for fashion and music. And I remember, I think it was the 5th anniversary. And this is founded by our very good friend, KOD. And so we had this on the lawn, the big lawn at Golden Tulip, okay? A very beautiful setup had been done. And the stage had the image of the Independence Monument with the big star on it. So everything was fantastic. We had done about a half to 2/3 of the event. And then I introduced Manifest. Manifest gets on the stage. He's doing his thing. And then from nowhere, this storm just comes raging down.
Whoa.
His bandsmen, some had to flee the stage. They left him there in the center. We had a bit of showers as well. And the video wall just came crumbling. So the drummer didn't have he didn't have an option but to run away. And there was Manifest. Manifest stood there. And that's why I always keep saying, and of course, I say this with all humility and great pride as well, that I've introduced every relevant artist in this country, last generation and this generation, every single relevant artist. Manifest is one of them. And he stood there. He stood there while the storm was coming in. He didn't turn a single minute to look at what was happening behind him. He just kept engaging the audience, kept engaging them. He stood on the stage, never moved an inch till the showers cut and we got everybody to get back on the stage. So for me, these are some of the moments. And of course, after that, I had to get back on the stage and I had to keep it running till we reached a logical conclusion.
Wow.
So yeah, you should have the ability to have, for me, it's more of a tough mind and the highest end of composure. If you do not have composure, then you will be found wanting. And like I said, as for the stories of what happens backstage and what can go wrong on a day, I mean, there are acts of nature, force majeures, like rain, for instance, where people have done everything for an outdoor event and have not even checked the weather. And you see, because of the beauty of the experiences that I have gathered over the years, and my colleagues have also gathered over the years, you are better positioned to handle these situations when they come up. You understand me? And you are better positioned to also advise when you are brought into the picture at an earlier point. Okay, because there are various situations. There are those who can book you 3-4 months ahead of time. There are those who can book you 1 year ahead of time. If you go around the table, my colleagues will tell you that there are those who just want to be, go by the textbook and make sure that they cross all T's and dots the I's. So because of that, they would book you 1 year ahead of time. You understand me? And all of this is just to ensure that every single stage that this event gets to is always on a high and at a certain level in terms of entertainment, in terms of excitement, and in terms of flow.
Let's still stay on the high. Joy 99.7 FM. Anita is on still, and I learned she has something to add to this one. Anita.
Yes. Just Jerry and Nathaniel have raised very important points, but I also want to say one last thing. The job of an MC is to be the first person there and the last person out. That is your job. You have no business showing up on your own time. Because what tends to happen is if you are not in control of the event, whether you like it or not, you are the spokesperson of the event. So you are held liable. Even if, truth be told, even if it's because of the producer or the director or whatever it is. But the most important thing an MC must endeavor to do is try your best to be the first person, because I find that the value of being the first person there is you can already tell what the loopholes are. So you can quickly put in the measures to salvage certain situations that, situations that are salvageable. But if you really do show up at an event that starts at 7:30, at 7:15, you really have no time to even advise, because the event producers sometimes also rely on you for the advice, and that's fine. It's a mutually beneficial project or a mutually beneficial service, so to speak. So be the first person to get there so that wherever you can see something looming, you are never too big or never too small to advise or to help. Or, and I've seen Jerry do it many times. Jerry will come to an event, Jerry's wearing a suit. He will remove the suit and fix certain things because it's in his best interest for that particular element to be fixed so that he can perform. Or people will come and they feel that the protocol is to do A, B, C, and D. And you can advise and say, you know what, with all due respect, I think you need to do C and D first, because if you start with A, you will have a problem. So I think with all that we're talking about, if you really want to be the kind of MC who is in control, there is no pomposity here. There's no, there are no egos here. You are number one in terms of service. You're there to render a service. So be in control by being the first person to be there. And it's okay to be the last person to leave. You can be the last person to leave because you want to hear what your client has got to say, or you just want to make sure the client is happy before you leave. And last but not the least, when I MC events, I don't sit and eat and socialize, because then it throws you off when there's an emergency. So your job is backstage or side stage or in front of the stage, depending on what's happening. Your job when you introduce somebody is to stand not too far away from the person. If the person faints, if the person drops a mic, if the person loses their cards, or even if you can see that the person is naturally very anxious, just give the person that kind of solace by standing not too far from the person. I feel that as much as you're not in control of everything, do your job by preparing for the worst. And hopefully when the worst happens, you are the one in the room that is not too shocked, but that can actually keep everyone calm and keep everything flowing as smoothly, as possible.
Wow. Anita asking that. Macri Quay. Hello, Macri.
Kwame. Yes.
I'm sure you've also encountered such hitches or challenges on stage working as an MC before.
A lot. And I really love the submission by my sister Anita. Her last words: do your worst by preparing, do your best by preparing for the worst. It's a very, I wouldn't want to call it, a difficult situation, especially when there's an event where you have about 10,000 people, you have 500 people, you have 200 people, and everybody is looking at you to make sure everything runs smoothly. You can tell what kind of task that is. I have had a lot of situations, but I must say here that getting into the space of event programming has actually given me a whole new perspective about, what embodies, the makeup of an event. The MC bit is one element of it. There's a lot that happens. And sometimes, before I started doing event programming and stuff, I had a standpoint, because I did not understand why there would be an event and there would, for example, be a technical issue where a microphone wouldn't work and things like that. But getting into the space of event organization, got me to understand how all these things come to play. Nobody plans to fail, but sometimes, like Nat said, there's force majeure. Anything, could happen. There could be instances that, turn everything around. But as an MC, based on your understanding that you are the one that is the life of the event, you have the lifeline, to the event, you actually have the skill and, the ability to turn things around. On the 27th of April, I had, my biggest event yet. which was the NFL draft day. I hosted with Stephen Appiah at the backdrop of the Adomi Bridge, the Bridgeview Hotel. Beautiful scene, beautiful audience who were ready to go live, transmitted on Fox. And just before the announcement will happen, the rain set in. Then I was like, wow, what do we do? Because the audience would start leaving and start taking shelter. I quickly called the DJ and I said, get the music on. And guess what? I got the audience to stand in the rain and party whilst the event organizers tried to figure out how to get things set. So whilst I was partying with the audience, they quickly, set up the audiovisual system in a room, and then we had to go in with Stephen Appiah to make the announcement for, the Eagles. So these are some of the things that, happen, and I must say that we find ourselves in a very, very, we are blessed to be in this position where you have CEOs, you have very huge personalities, and you happen to be the one who can either make or break an event.
Okay, Mercury Quay, Joy 99.7 FM, Showbiz A to Z, and we are talking about MCing. We are understanding the art and craft of MCing. Anita Eskin wants to take leave of us, but before we let her go, let me quickly move to her and ask her how lucrative the job or the work of MCing is.
Oh, I think MCing is extremely lucrative when you have honed your craft, when you have mastered your art, because, when you're negotiating on a fee, you're not negotiating on the money. You are negotiating on your brand value. So I think we've talked, extensively about who we are, what we love to do, those of us who are versatile, those of us who are focused. So it's lucrative for you the moment you understand, like, honestly, this is where I thrive the best. This is where I fit in the best. Even if I stand out for all the positive reasons, this is a kind of event that when I deliver, client is happy, I'm happy, and you can feel within your soul, the happiness you feel within your soul because you've delivered is not just, oh, I'm happy, everybody's dancing, but you feel that you've taken your craft to the next level. You are challenging yourself. So for me, listen, it's as lucrative as how you value what you are bringing to the table. By the way, disclaimer, clients who understand your value will still say, well, you know what, this is too much for us. That is where I say, make the lucrativeness be about what the opportunity brings to you as a craftsperson. So there are certain opportunities that, yes, you are not exchanging, quote unquote, the actual value of what you believe you are, but you are exchanging the value of the platform that it's giving you and the audience it is bringing you into. I run with a very simple motto whenever I do events, a very, very simple mission. My next event is confirmed at my current event. So even if the client is not giving me $10,000, $50,000, $100,000, 100,000 CDs, they are bringing me into a space that I need to be in because there is a target in that space that I probably can't access on my own. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, it does. It does. But before you go, finally, what is that advice you want to give to that wannabe MC out there listening to you right now?
I think that understand the value of your voice, the tone of your voice, not in terms of pitch or whatever, but the tone and the texture of your voice in terms of what is it? What are the subject matters that excite you? I think start from nothing. I started from church. I started from church events where you are actually forced onto the stage. Start from the places that a lot is expected of you, but a lot is not placed on your shoulders. And start from a space of familiarity where you know the audience. So they can help you build. My very, very, very first event was KSM's very, very first live show when he came back to Ghana. This was in 1999, I believe. And that space comprised a lot of people that I had seen with my work at Metro TV. So there was that familiarity. And I remember that I was urged to do my best. So if you want to be an MC, by all means, do be an MC. By all means, do pursue it. There's so much space. As a friend of mine said yesterday, the clouds are too big for two stars to collide. There's a lot of space. I urge a lot of women as well to pursue careers in MCing. There are a lot of clients these days who are really looking for women MCs. There's a lot out there. And last but not the least, if you are unsure of a particular kind of client, call one of your colleagues in the space. Say, hey, you know what? A, B, C, and D organization has called me, but I think you hosted for them last year. What are they like? I do it all the time with Jerry. I said, Jerry, they've asked me to host this year. What are they like? And Jerry will explain, oh, Anita, you know what? They like it this way. They like it that way. So always ask when you're in doubt. And last, remember, as long as you have that fire burning within you to pursue this, don't let anybody say that you can't do it. You can be it. Take your time, learn the craft, and excel and understand your brand value.
Thank you very much, Anita Resking. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your experience and your knowledge in the field of emceeing with us today on Showbiz A to Z. We appreciate this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. So that was Anita Esking there speaking to us. She's taking leave of us now. But let me stay on Zoom and speak to Jerry Ajololo. Jerry?
Senior.
So we're looking at how lucrative this work is. Oh.
Sure.
Yeah. You make money?
Oh, money they come.
They come plenty, yeah.
If I talk, you will report me to GRA, so you make us just left for them, no. No, I mean, every labor is profitable, as the Bible says. And I mean, starting out, my basic understanding of this job was that you start from a certain position where you are prepared to work for free. And then you graduate to a place where you are prepared to be paid something, just something. And then as you graduate further, you get paid a fee. And as you grow, you get to be paid your fee. Then as you grow further, you get to be paid above your fee. And when you have hit, the top, you are actually paid because you are you. Well, we travel the length and breadth of this, trajectory every day. There are certain places where you just need to do for free because of certain considerations, like Anita said. There are certain places too that you have to insist on your fee. Other places too that, hey, they just feel that, look, it's Jerry we are bringing. We just need to pay him his premium. And then that's it. And certain places, well, So for me, price is a conversation. It just says that this is what my value is in monetary terms. Somebody will say, okay, I understand that, I respect that, but I don't have this budget for you. Can I meet you on this other leg? So if those terms are satisfactory, why not? We go along. But by and large, this is business. This is work. And so for me, if anybody says that MC doesn't pay, well, I don't know. They say talk is cheap. I don't know what kind of talk they are talking, but my kind of talk, it pays.
Okay, let me go to Mercury Quay. Mercury Quay. Okay. Then let me come in house. Let me speak to Nathaniel. Nathaniel, do you take a fee, your fee, or above your fee?
Jerry is very troublesome. I believe that the investment made in the brand and the kind of quality that is given off is what people pay for. Obviously, what I probably would have discussed with a client or a potential client some 6 years ago is different from what I'll discuss now, because there is growth, there is addition of value, and the brand and the quality and the presence that I bring to the event is at an all-time high. Therefore, if you're looking for quality, then there always is a corresponding value that goes with it in monetary terms. Jerry hit the nail right on the head when he spoke about discussions, because just like Kabute said earlier, every event is unique in its own ways. To date, even though we run businesses, registered businesses at the Registrar General, even though we pay tax on a specific date of the year, we still go out there and we would still have to do things gratis for different reasons. So, for instance, if Kabute has an uncle who, during his formative years, was his favorite uncle, contributed in a certain way to his growth and his journey in life, and he's celebrating an important milestone as a 70th or an 80th, Kabute will still go there, deliver like he's delivering on a paid-for event, do a 1-minute video for social media, relive the event and share it with his audience. But somebody else sits back and says, hey, Charlie, this one too, it's in the bio, they make money. Yeah, fine. I mean, nobody's downplaying the fact that, you get rewarded adequately based on what you've put in. But all I'm just saying is that it's on a day-by-day basis. What is important is that if you want a certain value and you want to play within a certain space, there's a certain investment that is made. And all of these things happen with time. And just like Anita was saying, I'd like to add a bit to the younger generation of our friends who are aspiring to the space and all of that. I always keep telling people that, look, there are loads and loads of, untapped areas. For instance, I know a minimum of 3 local languages. English. My French is still not too good. I mean, my daughters are way better than I am. But you see, the other day I was talking to one of my mentees and I was telling him, you are an Ewe. Why haven't you decided to start focusing on naming ceremonies and traditional other events within our cultural setup from your geographical region? Okay, there are loads of Ewes everywhere. There are Ewes who live in Ghana. There are those who live outside of town, and these people are giving birth every day. People are dying every day, and there are days when it becomes necessary that we have somebody who is competent in this particular language. So instead of trying very hard to go into a market which has audiences which will prefer person A or person B, start it from here. Grow your base. Grow your strengths in this area. Your English is on point. You have a good personality. You are knowledgeable. But it's just a matter of time. Because it takes just one day for somebody who comes to watch you mix your Ewe with English at an event to say, listen, I have a corporate event coming up on this day. It is one that requires somebody who has a bit of energy and all of that. I think I'd want you to do it. And that will be your break. So specializing in other areas becomes very, very important. And these areas, mind you, also become very lucrative. Why? Because you have decided to add value to yourself and pursue an area which is an area of demand, an area of need, and you have provided a service which is needed by the populace. And because of that, you will get rewarded. It gets to a certain time when it will no more be what people want to pay you, but what you spell out as your base or your minimum, and that will be the going rate. So it is, I'm grateful for the space. I'm grateful for the kinds of rewards. What everybody must know is that we break our backs. Me, I break my back so hard. We work so hard. I mean, I'm sure that on another day we would come in and talk about, the other side of all of this. We work very, very hard. And so hard work has reward at the top of it.
Thank you, Nathaniel Atto. Kabute, would you say that somebody can actually choose MCing as their source of livelihood,
as your full-time income.
Full-time.
Oh, absolutely.
Only MCing without any other job.
Absolutely. I think it is very, very possible. Now, in simple terms, my brother, obviously there's an evolution that this goes through. So I like to say that it may start from the point of a gift or a talent. But then beyond gift and talent, you would now need to make the investment to graduate it towards to become a skill. When you have graduated your skill or talent, your gift or talent to become a skill, you then additionally make the investment to graduate it from a skill to a craft. When you have lifted your gift or talent to skill to craft, you now have to make additional investment to also graduate it from a craft to a service delivery. And then eventually you have to make the investment to graduate it from a service delivery to a professional service. Now, if you look at all these levels of graduation, it tells you the body of work, the body of resources, the body of time, the investment of knowledge, of attention that comes together to eventually get you to that point where you can say that you are a professional, event MC. And so definitely, just like everything else, everybody starts at the bottom of the chain. Everything else in life. Nobody starts, the highest, the most skilled neurosurgeon did not start as the most skilled, started as a medical student, maybe first as a biological science student, and then went through all the processes to the beginning. So at the beginning, you do all the work and not much, you don't get paid much. Along the line, your work becomes commensurate with your pay. And then with further experience, with further growth, with further unique branding and positioning, you then get to a certain point where you have the luxury of even deciding that I want to do this one, I don't want to do that one. And so with all the conversation we've had today, I'm sure at the beginning of the conversation, somebody may have had the impression that, event emceeing, dear, it's not such a big deal. But I'm sure with all the inputs that myself and my colleagues have made today, I'm sure that everybody else listening to us has had